Alright, welcome everybody. So in this episode we're gonna take a different subject than two previous screencasts, and instead of focusing on Docker and deployment, we will focus on building and test-driven development with Elixir. So the application I want to build to show you how testing in Elixir works is pretty simple one. It's just an application that will be helpful for my deployment scripts. I want to grant access to some projects to some GitHub users, and I know their GitHub usernames, however I don't know their public keys. So I want a command line tool that will allow me to fetch that key. Thankfully GitHub provides a public API that's pretty easy to use, so I just need to make an HTTP request to this URL and find the first key, extract this value from the object, and I'm done. So I just want to output it to the console. Okay, let's build our application. I'm generating some scaffold. That's cool. I will be using Elixir eScript to build the command line application. It's a built-in tool, and you just run mix eScript build that will generate the binary. However, our eScript has to be configured, so application has to be configured. So let's start with what the key. Obviously we put the configuration here, and we need main module, and that's what the key. We also need to change our main module so it doesn't have any garbage in it, but instead has main function that takes something like arguments. And for now I'm just gonna output something to see whether that works. Let's compile our application and build the binary, and if you do that, you'll see that a new file appeared here. So it's our command line utility. I'm executing it and it prints hello world. That's not very helpful. Elixir Mix generated our tests as well for us. They are in test, edit test. What the key test? So in Elixir, the testing tool, the default testing tool is called ExUnit, and we're using that here. Nice guide, short introduction here is in Elixir School, so check it out if you haven't read it through. It's pretty similar to any other whatever unit testing framework. It's also pretty basic, but I think that's the design, that's simplicity. However, it does everything we need, and even big Elixir projects use it. Okay, so let's actually specify in our tests our main function, because we want it to be useful. So it will have a few cases. So for example, main should output user's public key if correct username was given. That's the first test. Then I want main should output error message when something goes wrong, like the username hasn't been recognized on the GitHub side of things. So I just want to, in the first case, I want to output the user's public key. In the second case, print something like key not found, and set the shell exit code to non-zero value. So in the first case, I'll set it to 0. In the second case, I set it to non-zero value. Let's test it out. So the assertions are handled with the assert function. So we definitely will have an assert here. And our main function will actually output something to the console. So in our case, we will be outputting the public key. So I think I can just make an assertion here that this key has been found. I'll just use a module variable here, so I don't have to repeat it in every single test. Assert capture IO is a helper function from the ExUnit that allows us to capture the output on the console. In order to use it, we need to import one extra module here. And it works in a way that capture IO, it takes a function as an argument. It can be name function or anonymous function, like in this case. Capture IO, what the key main, I'll just put my username here. That's the command line arguments is gonna receive. And that's and I think I don't need that. That this actually equals to my key. However, it's gonna add one extra new line character at the end, so that the console looks pretty. So let's test whether that works. Actually, let's also test the negative case. So in case something goes wrong, we output key not found. So that's gonna be key not found. Okay, so for example, I don't believe there's like a user like that on GitHub. And also we probably want to print out some helpful usage instructions. All right, so again, we're doing the same. Assert capture IO function what the key main. And let's say that user doesn't pass any arguments from the command line, so we display usage, and that's gonna be what the key GitHub username. We run the tests with mixed test. And all of our tests failed. So all of our assertions failed. We can see that here the capture IO expected it to be the usage instructions, and it was hello world. The other one expected the key not found, and it was hello world again. And here we also expected it to be the public key. However, the hello world was outputted, so the assertion failed as well. Okay. That's good. Let's fix that. How can we fix that? Well, let's make our tests pass for now, just in a stupid way. So, in case the user passes one argument, and this argument is GitHub username, if it's a username, then we will output the key. All right. In case user something goes wrong, that's actually not gonna work, but it's okay. So this is like, let's make our tests pass for now. In case something else, then we output key not found. Okay, and in case user doesn't know how to use the tool, so any other value has been passed here, we print the usage instruction. What the key username. Alright, let's run our tests. Test. 3 assertions, 0 failures, and the program doesn't do anything useful, which is a great success. However, I also mentioned I want to exit the program nicely, so that in case we run our program this way, I have to rebuild the executable. This outputs my GitHub key, which is cool. I want it also to set the shell exit code to 0, and in case something goes wrong, it outputs key not found. I want it to be 1, non-zero value, so I can use it in shell scripts. This is not happening, so in order for it to happen, I need to use system hold function and pass in the status code I want to return in those cases. To make it clear, I'm just gonna put it over here as well. And let's actually rebuild our project. So I'm recompiling the binary, execute it, key not found, and the status code is 1. That's great success. Now it's 0, which is also great success. That's fine. And now let's run our tests. And something bad is happening. So we run our tests, and our tests are not executing correctly. So we stumbled on our first problem. And the problem is here that the system hold instructs the system to basically halt immediately, so the tests are also not being executed to the end. Let's fix that, and we can fix that in a couple ways. Well, Ruby developers would probably stub it out with monkey patching. Elixir doesn't encourage using mocks, mock functions, mock objects, and monkey patching existing modules. Instead, we can use some dependency injection so that we change our function. One of the techniques is that to change our function and pass a default value that will be like a module name, and we're just gonna write a special system module mock that has hold function that does nothing. So system mock, we defaulted to that's not system mock, that's system module. We defaulted to system, all right, and we defaulted to the system. We just do it in all of our functions. Here we go. Function heads. I believe actually that's not correct. I need to write main, and there's gonna be maybe that's gonna work, I'm not sure. Let's try. Maybe that has changed in Elixir. So it made a default system mode, blah 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 blah. Okay, and yeah, so system mode hold, system mode hold, and here we go, system mode hold. Let's try compiling that. I think it might fail. Yeah, so Elixir gave us a helpful message that we should have an extra special head if we function head if we use default parameters. So this is gonna be username, and the default mode is system, and it's fine. I'm just gonna remove those defaults from here because they're not needed anymore. Here we go. Let's compile it and run the tests again. Username not found. All right, but the system. Okay, so the code compiles. However, it still doesn't run correctly. So the tests don't run because we never actually implemented the system mock. And we can fix that by passing this second default argument. So it's going to be system mock, system mock, and this is our system mock. All right, we need to also write this system mock somewhere. I will write it in test support. Okay. Ex, and it's gonna have a hold function that takes one parameter and does nothing. Okay, let's try. All right, it says system mock hold is undefined, module system mock is unavailable. What it means is that it hasn't been compiled, and it hasn't been compiled because the test support directory where we saved this file is not in compiler paths. So we need to fix that. So let's configure it. So I think it's called Elixir paths, and we just create a function that's gonna be mix env. So and if it's test, then we do something. If it's something else, then we do something else. So in all other environments than test, we just include our lib. However, in the test environment, we also instruct the compiler to compile lib, but also we need to compile test support directory. So all the modules, all the files in the lib and test support directory are going to be compiled with the Elixir compiler. Let's try that. Yes, great success. So you can see our tests are now passing. And let's try to build our binary again. And it says it generated it. Okay, that's interesting. What the key Hubert Lepicki, and it actually works. So key not found, and if somebody is using yeah, so our application works in theory. It only works with my key because it doesn't actually fetch the key from GitHub. Let's fix that, shall we? So instead of doing that here, I want to have probably some function, something like fetch key, and I just use it in my username, and I want it to return a key and the key in case of success, and in case of failure I want it to return error and message. So this is ideal case to use the case statement in Elixir. So I will do something like that. Fetch key username, and in case we got OK and the key, I want to output the key and return with success 0 error message status code. And in case there's an error, I output this error thing and return with 1. Okay, so that's one thing. I don't want that anymore. Okay, so I think we actually don't need this stub over here function, and that's all fine. However, we don't have any fetch key function just yet. let's fix that. So there will be 3 steps involved here. I like to put them down into text first. So get the text body from API endpoint. So first we're gonna reach out to this API endpoint over here and fetch this key of mine. Okay. And then we need to parse the text body to get Elixir list. Then we need to find the first key in the list, and then we need to return the key value as text. Okay, key as tuple of okay. Okay, so that's our algorithm, and in case anything goes wrong, we output, we return error and key not found. Okay, that should do it in the very first version of the product. Okay, let's implement those functions. So we need to reach out to our libraries. The first one to fetch something is htpoison. We will utilize the get function, and we need this URL to be passed. So probably helper function URL doesn't hurt. Username. So, and this will return something that's called htpoison response, some structure with a status code of 200 and body. So we do some match over here, and this will fetch this body thing. Okay, that should work. So we get htpoison response, status code 200, body. This can be private function because we just exposed the main function. So this is our private function. Status code 200, body, blah blah. And we can actually improve that, but for now that's fine. In a second step, we need to parse the body to get Elixir list. So we're getting a list, poison, what's the thing, decode body. So we got a list. Now we need to find the first element on the list. So first key, ignore the rest, equals list. And now we need to return key value as tuple OK key. Okay, so now we need also to do one more match. So we need to actually extract this key thing from this inner value. So this is like an array, there's an object and it has key inside, so we're just interested in that part. So let's fetch it here, equals first key. And now we have everything, so our happy path should be met. We can output OK key, and we'll do just that for now. Let's run the tests. It doesn't compile. Why? Obviously, I haven't included my 2 libraries, so I need those 2 libraries included: htpoison to make HTTP requests, and poison to parse the JSON returned. So I'm gonna add them here into depths. Poison, and also I need htpoison. Let's just copy that over from here. htpoison, yes. Here we go, and I believe htpoison needs to be started like an OTP application, because it's an OTP application type of library, so we add it to extra applications over here. Mix test has instructed us to fetch dependencies and compile them first. That's done, so let's compile it now. and run the tests. And our happy path, I expect our happy path to be met, and we actually have a working executable. Yes, we haven't implemented one more function, which is the URL, and Elixir kindly displayed an error message saying we should. So we need this URL function, URL, and that's my username, and this is going to return something like that. Whoops. Yeah, that should do it. Yeah, I have a typo somewhere. What? What do you say? Undefined function username 0 on the line 23. 23. Yes, because right, this is our still leftover from our stub, so we don't have to do that anymore. Okay, there's 2 of the 3 tests are passing, but ExUnit thinks the glass is full, half empty instead of half full, so no success message, just an error message. And as we expected, our happy path is working, but the negative path is not. So let's try build the executable and just test it manually. Okay, it's compiling, building the binary. Okay, now the binary is probably way bigger than before. Hubert Lepicki, and it displays my GitHub key. Something else, it just crashes with no much error, which is not good. So we want to change it, so when something goes wrong, we get the error key not found instead of crashing one of the matches over here. And Elixir comes with a handy function, construct to do that. It's called with. And what it does is we can just change our pipeline of calls into those little, well, I don't know what it is, assertions or matches over here, and they will still work exactly like they worked before. However, it takes 2 clauses as well. So there's one do clause and there's an else clause, and we need to do and here. So we also need to separate those expressions here with these commas. So what's going to happen now is our matches that were done with the equal sign are now done with this left arrow. They work exactly like before. However, when there's like no match error being thrown, it's not being thrown. Instead we're gonna go to the else clause, and in this else clause we get the unmatched value in the error. In this, we can also do some matching here to react differently to different match errors. However, I will just return the error for now, saying key not found. So in case of happy path, we return OK and the key. Instead of some error, we just display key not found. Mix test. Oh, sorry. So a great success. Let's build our executable. That's one thing. And in the other, like this probably doesn't exist. key not found, and also I don't know how to use this thing, so it prints us the usage. All good. Okay. So what is left here is actually make this program a little bit resilient to failures. For example, now if I have a network failure, I'm just gonna turn off my Wi-Fi, my tests are gonna fail because they're hitting production endpoint for the GitHub, and we don't want to generally do that in tests. So what can we do to fix that is, again, we can do a mock and we can mock it out in some way. So we could just pass another module as a second argument over here as default value. However, we can also, this is not convenient since that's a private function now, so we would have to put it to the main and then pass it over to the fetch key function, which is not very convenient. Instead, I like to use custom environment configuration variable. So what I generally would do is to create a function that returns this HTTP client thing, and this is gonna be HTTP poison in most cases. So this is our HTTP poison. See, that should still compile, but the test should fail exactly the same way. So we're specifying this is our HTTP client, it returns HTTP poison. However, in test environment, we want it to be fetched from application environment. So we can use application get env, and this is our what the key, and how do we do that? Get env Elixir. Oh, I have no internet. I just need the to connect again. Yeah, it's connecting. See, yeah, that should do it. Application get env, and this is all right. This is so that's easy. Application get environment, and the key here is going to be HTTP client. Or if it's not being set, we return HTTP poison. Config exs. So we need to uncomment this line in the config, so it imports the appropriate config files, and we also need to unfortunately create those config files for our own environments. For dev exs, we will leave it empty. I'm just gonna I think we just need to use this macro over here, and the same is gonna be with config prod exs. It can be empty. Config test exs is going to be different, however. What the key, and we specify here HTTP client. This is going to be HTTP HTTP poison mock. So another mock we have to write. Config, so I'll put in a lib support, no, sorry, in a test support. Ex. And we need this get function. function, and when it gets something like this thing, this URL, so if it's my URL, then we just return my my key. Okay. So bad at typing. And I think we have to return this HD poison response correctly. So I'm just gonna do exactly that. So this is our body here, and we also need to not return the body, but instead, sorry, what I'm doing, we return this HD poison thing. So we return this HD poison structure, HD poison response structure. Here we go. HD poison response, status code 200, body is gonna be body. So that was all cool. In case of any other URL, however, we will return 404, 404, and the body is gonna be different. Let's just see what GitHub returns. Okay, message not found. Body equals, this is a sigil to create multi-line string that I like. There are different ways to do that as well, but this is very handy in my opinion. Okay, so we get a body, and here, that should do it. And we get those two functions. It says HD poison mock get is undefined. I think I made a typo here in our test. Oh, here's a typo. Okay, cool. So it works. However, whether it works when the Wi-Fi is off. Yeah, it failed to check for the Nux hex version because my internet is off, but the tests are passing, so the mocks actually worked. I'm gonna enable that again. On. Just connect to my Wi-Fi. Whoa, no, sorry. On. Yeah, okay, that's gonna connect on its own. And let's see whether that executable works as I expected in production. So, what the key? Okay, and let's fetch some other key. Yep, that sounds good. And let's fetch, well, something that doesn't exist. Key not found, and I have no idea what I'm doing. All right, that's fine. So that, I believe, would be it for, one more thing now. I want to show you also how to do what is called the doc test, and we obviously can't test the private functions. However, we can test public functions just inline. If our tests are really, really simple, we can use the doc thing over here and just specify a comment and just give us some examples. So this function just converts the username to API endpoint URL. And we just do something like examples. And in the next lines, that's annoying. In the next lines, we like write it like we were typing in EXS. So in our case, this is what the key URL for Hubert Pitsky that should return. Okay, that should just return this URL. Yeah, so that should pass. That should this line should be executed as a test, and the return value will be asserted that this is it. So we return the second value. Let's try. Mix test. So we had 3 tests, now we have 4 tests. You can see our test passed. So we successfully wrote the doc test. And that's a handy way to test shorter functions and just give some examples at the same time so they can be embedded into docs. Okay, now that would be it. Thank you very much for this screencast. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave comments if you did. If you don't, please, if you didn't like it, please also leave comments. You can find more screencasts on amberbit.com on our blog. There are 3 so far. There will be more. I'm not sure where the second one is. And also some self-promotion. If you're looking for great Elixir developers or Rails developers to join your team, we got a strong team. We're available for hire. So just hit me up on the contact. It's here in the bottom. Skype, phone, or email, whatever works for you. My name is Hubert, and thank you for listening to me. Bye.